Namaste everyone. You're all very welcome. मैं अपर्णा शुक्ला आयरलैंड से आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूं और अभिनंदन करती हूं और आशा करती हूं कि आप सब ठीक ठाक होंगे। और आज की इस सीरीज में ख्वाहिश फाउंडेशन के प्लेटफॉर्म पे एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक लेकर हम आए हैं। यस, वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस वंस अपॉन अ टाइम देयर वाज अ किंग called Raja Shuddhodhan and his wife, Queen Maya. They gave birth to a beautiful child and his name was kept Siddhartha Gautam. Siddhartha Gautam, after his birth, soon after, Queen Maya, means his mother, passed away. And this child had all the luxuries in the palace. Yes, my beautiful friends in India, we all have read story of this Prince Siddhartha Gautam and his luxuries in the palace and the four passing sights of the old age man, the sick man, and a dead corpse. After seeing them, what happened? जब बुद्ध ने उन 4 दृश्यों को देखा, तब क्या हुआ? जब उन्होंने लोगों की सफरिंग को देखा, तब ऐसा क्या हुआ कि वो पैलेस छोड़कर चले गए, महल से निकल पड़े और अपने राजसी कपड़ों को त्याग कर उन्होंने भिखारियों वाला चोला पहन लिया, अपना हेड शेव कर लिया, सारे बाल निकाल दिए और वो निकल पड़े उस सत्य की तलाश में, उस ट्रुथ को पाने के लिए जिसको दुनिया एनलाइटनमेंट कहती है। And the journey begins then for Siddhartha Gautam to Buddha that we know today. So in this beautiful series of Life Sutra, Khwahish Foundation brings to you this wonderful topic of Buddha's mind. Yes, Buddha means the one who is awakened. जो जागृत अवस्था में है वह बुद्ध है। बुद्ध नहीं थे, वो तो सिद्धार्थ गौतम थे। ऐसा क्या हुआ कि सारी दुनिया उनको बुद्ध के नाम से जानने लगी? इस टॉपिक पर अपनी एनलाइटनिंग थॉट्स हमारे सामने रखने के लिए हम आज आपके सामने ला रहे हैं डॉक्टर आलोक वाजपेयी को। प्लीज वेलकम हिम एंड send some messages so that we can see. Dr. Alok Bajpai, namaste. You're
Namaskar.
very, very welcome.
Namaskar.
My heartfelt welcome to you in the studio of Khwahish Foundation Life Sutras program.
Thank you very much.
And I would like to say, when Buddha was asked, what have you gained from meditation? He said, nothing. Nothing. But let me tell you, what I have lost: anger, anxiety, depression, fear of old age and death, and insecurity. And the man we have today in studio, Dr. Alok Bajpai, that's exactly what he does. He helps people to lose their anger, their anxiety, their depression. And Dr. Alok Bajpai is a well-known psychiatrist worldwide. He was trained at NIMHANS, Bangalore, and presently working in Kanpur, but he has traveled globally. His main hobbies and practices focus on psychiatry, physics, film, music, literature. But he knows how to train the mind. And the training of the mind can be best done when we are young. So he focuses his main energy towards children, youth, and adolescent, because that's where we have more chance of bringing transformational changes in the society. And that's what his passion is, the transformational process of the mind to enhance the inner peace and harmony. He has also attended FT2 Film Appreciation course at Pune and has also done similar courses in Australia. He conducts film appreciation courses for students too. And as you know, being a psychiatrist, having an interest in cinema, it doesn't sound odd to me because this whole world is like a cinema screen. When we say Maya, Maya means illusion. And it is all really an illusion that we live into. The I, the ego that always comes up. And how Buddha helped us to learn those things so that we can reduce our own suffering and finally the human suffering. So now, without delaying, your contact with Dr. Alok Bajpayee, I would like to welcome him again in the studio. And I would like to ask you, sir, can you please throw some light on Gautam Buddha's early life and what his life was like and what can we learn from him today?
Hi. Thanks, Aparna. I have been ordained to talk in English. So I'll try to pitch in some Hindi. तो पहला बुद्धिस्ट एक्ट तो आपने मुझसे करवा ही दिया कि अपने बारे में नहीं सुनना चाहिए. तो मैं कोशिश कर रहा था कि अपने बारे में ना सुनूं. But nevertheless, at the outset itself, what I try to do, you have certain questions, and whenever you want to butt in, just ask it. I'll try
Yes.
to make it one continuous flow, and as people go, they can ask questions on the chat, and maybe at the end I can reply.
Yes.
Let me clarify a few things at the outset. That I am not a Buddhist scholar. I am not a meditation practitioner also. But what I delve in is mind and brain as a psychiatrist and as a neuroscientist. So obviously, I try to integrate beyond my clinic, not focusing on the illness itself, but integrate the human knowledge per se to see whether there is some unity in it. So, if you, even before coming to Buddha, let me tell you, if you all know this, I mean, human knowledge over times immemorial has accumulated in form of scriptures, in monuments, in writings, in books, in oral traditions. But human knowledge, if you examine closely, the way it has happened in spurts. There's a spike and there's a sudden surge of knowledge which goes up. Then there's a lull period. Then again there's a surge, and which can come from 100 years to 500 years to thousands of years, and so on and so forth. But the knowledge which is gained in a certain period becomes useful in some other period. But how does it do? It happens with certain people who come up in that given time bracket of, and those people become very important. Some of them become gods, some of them become prophets, some of them, and so on and so forth. Now, so let me clarify one thing. You have already told about Gautam Buddha. When we are trying to talk about somebody from the past, first and foremost thing we should be very clear. That does not mean that he was the only one. Right? So that does not mean that we are looking down on other sources of knowledge. They're all as valid. The great trick is to find a unity amongst them.
Absolutely.
Which is a difficult job. Second, we are often unfair to all these great people because we take up some things from them and try to pose it into something else which suits our mind. But all great people, whatever source of knowledge they were bringing in, whatever they were leaving behind, what should not be forgotten is that there was context to it. Even if there is a historical evidence for it, or even if there is a spiritual evidence to it, there was always a context. Bhagavad Gita was in a context. We can
Yes.
take out few things away from Bhagavad Gita, but the whole glory of it happened only in the context. So if we look at this, then obviously we know the whole person. Otherwise, things become very, very wry and dry, and they become more ritualistic. So, especially when we are talking of Siddhartha Gautam, who is known as Buddha, let us ask one basic, simple question: can we discover the man? Is it possible to know the man? To know the man beyond the strict, rigid boundaries of a monastery? We all are not in a monastery,
No.
right? I
Yes.
have some mentors and gurus and friends who are monks, but we are not.
Yes.
Can we know Buddha or Siddhartha Gautam beyond the obscure writings in the scriptures, which have suffered a lot of translational loss from Pali, which was popular at then, to Sanskrit, to English, to Hindi? A lot of words which are written in actual translation in Hindi, they mean something else. And as I said, I'm not a Buddhist scholar. So
Mhm.
this is not going to be a treatise on Buddhism, and nor is it going to be a delineation of the text and concepts. A lot of books are available on that. And I'm not going to teach you meditation. Please be sure. Aparna, if she wants at the end of it, she can. So, yeah, my whole interest is looking into and peeping into the mind of this person. So, one thing which I said is context. The other thing which I also want to, even before I start, we have to be clear about few things. One, that we have to go back to 2,500 years back in the century of 5th and 4th century, for those 80 years when he was living.
So,
He
sir,
was,
can you,
yeah,
sorry to cut you across, but can you
yes,
enlighten at that time of India?
yes,
What was going
I'm
on?
going.
Like
Yeah,
2,500 years
I will
ago,
come to it.
what was the India
I will
like
come to
at
it.
that time?
I will come to it. I will just briefly mention it right away and then later on delve with it, because I want to continue where you left with Buddha's life.
Mm.
So, to know this man, we have to know what exactly he was doing. But I think because we are going to discover a man, Buddha, so we have to drop off certain preconceptions. All
Yes.
right. One, he was not a god,
No.
because, and I have a definite reason for it. If we call him a god, we don't follow him. We are not in the habit of following gods. All right.
But sir,
So,
that's why he's so different because he
no, no,
never
but
he
he
said,
also,
no, don't believe a word that I say. Go
yeah.
and
I will come.
experiment yourself.
I will answer this question as I go. You will get an answer to this question.
Okay.
He was a man. Let us take him as a man who worked
Yes.
very intensively and very courageously to
Yes.
become the enlightened one.
Yes.
Becoming enlightened, becoming a Buddha was not his goal.
No.
Please understand.
Yes.
He was on to something else. Let us
Yes.
discover that.
Yes.
What he did can be done by any man, provided you are ready to pay the bill. There's a bill to it. If you're ready to pay it, yeah, wonderful. Buddhism is not a religion.
Yes. Totally agree.
I totally respect His Holiness Dalai Lama and a lot of my Buddhist friends, but it is not a religion.
Yes.
It is not anti-life, like what a lot of people think it's anti-life. So what was he doing? Trust me, he was the original monk who sold his Ferrari. All of you know the book called The Monk Who Sold Ferrari. Am I right?
I don't know, sir.
No? Oh, you should see that book. Robin Sharma is a very popular book. But he was the original monk who sold his Ferrari. You already told that once he was born in the Tarai area of India, bordering what is called Nepal now, the constellation of stars said that either he'll be emperor or the king of ascetics. So
Yes.
obviously all his senses were inundated with everything, all luxuries, all seduction, everything that is possible what a man desires, right? But he had to go out. His father also tried that all this thing called dukh, suffering, is away from him. But this is the same dukkha which Buddha was chasing. So the moment he stepped out of the house, he saw the sick man, an old man, and a dead man. So guess what would have happened? This is very unlikely that a 29-year-old man who was living in luxury has not known this. He would have. Whatever protection you can put a person in castle, still deaths would be happening, illness would be happening, as it happens now. But at that point of time, probably within a very short span, a clustering of events happened. He saw all this together, and that probably just shook him up. Now, for a minute, all of us know what a depression is, what a feeling of depression is. So it would have hit him badly. So what he did not go into depression or a psychiatrist. He just got into a mode where this question started haunting him. The cause of suffering and whether all human beings are designated to have the same fate. It haunted him so badly that he left his wife and son and went to the jungle, left everything. That was the first leap which he took. He actually left his comfort zone, a comfort zone which we all fear to leave often. And because we fear to leave it, we often bargain it for continuing our suffering rather than really shaking it up. And then next 6 years, he followed all the gurus there, all the ascetics who were into a lot of this tapasya and torturing their body and all sorts of rituals which people do, which is fine. I mean,
Yes.
that is their way. It led to a point where he became so weak that his abdomen actually went back and stuck on his back. There's a very famous sculpture which is kept in Lahore
Yes.
Museum.
We
You can
have
just
it here in India, in Ireland as well.
absolutely. So, and that after that, he became so weak that he could not cross a rivulet, a small stream of water called Niranjana. Niranjana was not Gagara or Ganga with a lot of flow. Small rivulet, he fell there. And as the folklore says, this small young girl Sujata who came with kheer.
Yes.
So Buddha ate it, got back some life, sat down under the tree which later on was called Bodhi tree. And he sat down with a definite idea. So that was the second leap. The second leap was that he realized that torturing the body, that even the theoretical knowledge of whatever he was taking in is not enough to answer this basic question of what is the root cause of misery, what is the root cause of suffering. So he sat down with a definite idea, and he was a master of will at that time. In 6 years, had made him into some strong willed man that either I get the answer or I die. Right? So that was the leaving of the second comfort zone. One was from the luxury, and second was from the asceticism. He left that also.
Yes.
And in that night something happened. Like it happened to Mahatma Gandhi when he was thrown out of the train, almost in the same league. Everything suddenly opened up. It is possible. Now people think that Buddha sat down and it opened up. But Buddha had 6 years of preparation. He had the 6 years of torture of the brain continuously, which was poking him what is the cause of misery. And then obviously folklore came, which says Mara, the tempter, sent weapons, fire, seductress, everything. But he did not finally. So what would he have felt? He would have felt कि अभी तो enlightenment हो गया, अभी तो सब पता है, आंख बंद करके शांत बैठो. जैसे हम सब सोचते हैं कि enlightenment हो गया, अब आंख बंद करके हम गुरु बन गए, बैठ जाओ. But something exhorted him again. He would have sat down. What was the problem? At 35, you gain Nirvan sitting quietly happy, right? In that moment, he also saw his previous births as bodhisattvas and lot of Buddhas. Now, this is often taken as rebirths. But let me tell you, this was probably what he saw was not rebirth. Probably in that moment of opening up, he saw this whole continuity of knowledge behind him. And the fact that there must have been many Buddhas who have been trying the same thing. Right? Whether he was reborn, whether he was the one or somebody else is not the question. The question is of continuity. And in that night, his mind expanded, his consciousness expanded. His consciousness went from this whole thing called self to including everything that was. And once you reach that state of mind, maybe people can reach, but to sustain that is very difficult. He saw that whole continuity. Now, after seeing the continuity, once you are able to see all that, I mean, why would you go and teach somebody? This is something which you cannot tell into words. But something probably exhorted him again that you go and teach. And so the first, he was very sure. All wise men are very sure of that nobody will listen to them. So they are doubtful. Only fools are sure. So the wise man thought, whom should I go? Whom should I talk to? So he said, anyway, I know 5 people who were sitting with me and they were in Sarnath. So he walks up there. These 5 people who were his colleagues in all the ritualistic tapasya they were doing, they saw him coming. They had already rejected him in the mind. They thought he has gone back to life of eating and making merry and all that. But there was something about him which probably hit them. And what hit them was probably his calm, the anxiety-less state of his mind.
The aura.
Aura, I'm not too sure, but calm, definitely.
Yeah.
We're talking about him as a man, huh? So aura is like, I'll leave that. Let's leave that. In this session, let's leave aura behind.
Okay.
The calm. When you meet a calm person, you know the calm.
That's true.
Right?
Yes.
So they listened. They became his disciples. And that started next 40 years of walking, of talking in parables, in stories, in silences. Buddha's silences have never been explored, but his silences have said more than what he has said in stories. Right? One of the famous story is that when somebody asked him, you told one story that what have I gained? When somebody asked that what is the gist of it all, he didn't do anything. He just sat quiet. Everybody was sitting quiet. Then Buddha picks up a lotus flower. When he picks up a lotus flower, there's this disciple called Mahakashyap who laughs. Buddha throws the flower at him. Out of all that big crowd around him. So what happened in the next 40 years was that Sangha grew, disciples came, he was walking in rains, in summers, and teaching all across. And then one day at 80 years, he dies by eating some poison mushrooms. He knew it was poisoned. But then somebody, Anand, his cousin, asked him, why did you eat it? He said, we have taken a vow. Whoever gives will not reject. So I had to take it. After his death, there was nothing written by that time. Please understand this. Because there was nothing written, at least a century and 2 centuries later, when Ashwaghosh writes a Buddha Charit, he delineates his life. And then the council happens. And then they create books. Right? Abhidharma, Theragatha, Vinapittika, Suttas, which were his saying, Dhammapad, all this comes over time. And by the time, many versions of Buddhism also start. Naturally, if it grows so big, it has to divide. So it divided into a Mahayan, Theravada, and the Vajrayan of Tibetan Buddhism. We'll not go into the detail. And then comes King Ashoka. Right? So that was Chand Ashoka, who was into warfare and all. He remained a Chand Ashoka even after turning Buddhist. He really worked towards spreading Buddhism. And it spread to China, to Southeast Asia, to every country adopted that Buddhism in their own version. It became a Zen Buddhism there. It became Shan in Bodhidharma went there and in China. So what happened by this time? Buddha was caught into the trap which he had always avoided. And you know what was the trap? This is the answer to your question. He avoided a religion. A religion on his name was started called Buddhism.
Was
He
it
had,
after his death or?
yes, after his death. After his death. Buddha had told Appadipo Bhava, find your inner light. What
Yes.
did they do? They made a statue of him. Every household has statues of Buddha. Right?
Even in Ireland, I go to so many
No, what Ireland?
people's houses. Yeah.
He is the most sold idol in this world,
Yes.
followed by Lord Ganesha.
Yes.
Yeah, in India. So the question is now, amidst all this confusion, how do we find out who was the real Buddha? Right?
So this is
So-
such an interesting topic, and I really sorry to interrupt you. And it is so like, you know, I can listen to you whole day because it's like, you know, no matter what I have known before, but as they say in mindfulness, having a beginner's mind. So I really
Yes.
am enjoying every single word
Right.
that's coming out,
So
and the story is so interesting. But can we come down to his teaching about?
Yes. Wait. Hold on. I'm just going layer by layer.
Okay.
All right. So that let's use this time to have at least some idea of the whole thing.
Okay.
Now, Buddha he had realized something. Now, how does he tell people? He would have obviously not told in the same language he had discovered. See, he was living in a time which was a time post Vedas, post Rigved, post Samved. It was a time which was wrapped in Upanishads. Upanishads, people who were mentioned in Upanishad, people who wrote Upanishad were the people who were in the same journey. And what was the journey? The journey of Vedas was having a life, an order of life, which had some ritual, some prayer, even seeking immortality, but it was focused externally. Upanishad was a jump within, right? So
Yes.
Buddha was of a tradition of Upanishad. He had, in one time, taken a leap into the cosmos of breaking the barricades of the mind, uniting with the mind, but in the same instance, he was jumping within to the point where desires happen, where ego swells up, where emotion swells up, where actions are planned, where success and failure and external things become very important. In that instance, he was living in these contradictions. Now, I am telling it very easily, but somebody I have not realized, maybe that's why I'm talking this. But somebody who has realized, how does he tell? How does a Shankaracharya tell people? Shankaracharya would have seen the same misery of people. You understand? What does he tell them? He comes and tells them the Maya. You said this word Maya. It's very complicated actually. I will tell you how Buddha and this thing they align each other. Now he tells them what he gives them a solace. He said, when you are talking, you this is that Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. He said you have a connection with the superior power, Paramatma. He doesn't say God or Ram or Krishna, anybody. He said you have a connection. Look into this connection. Your life may be misery, but look into this connection. How would Krishna tell Arjun at that time? Krishna was also mentioning Upanishads and all. So Upanishads were there. So Krishna, how does Krishna tell him? He has to at the end demonstrate himself that all is within you. So those people who think that everybody was talking differently are in a big fallacy. There's a very, very deep thread of unity. The problem is minds get absorbed in so much of superfluous definitions and rituals that they really forget to look into that one single line of it. So anyway, we'll come to it. Now the question is, how does he tell? What did Buddha tell? Okay, he realized one more thing. What was he looking at when he left his comfort zone? He was looking at dukkha. Am I right?
Yes.
Dukkha is conceived as very simple thing. It's very complex. Let me make it simple. I discuss it with the great Samdang Rinpoche, and one day he just enlightened me on this. The dukkha is conceived as there is a spike of some stress, of loss, of death, and you feel a state of mind which is suffering.
Yes.
That is dukkha, which is dukkha. There is a dukkha which happens after sukh also. You're craving for something, you get it, and then you go blank. These are all spikes, right? There is another type of dukkha, which are existential misery. That suffering is inherent part of life. That goes on and on and on. Buddha was not bothered about the spikes. He was working at this level. Another person who 2500 years later was working on this level was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. And it becomes very difficult. Very few people really can have the capacity, because to reach that level of suffering of existence. Now, once he realized it, how does he tell it? So, let me tell you a few points. That was the simplest Buddha I could. There may be many things, but what my little mind can make it. He gave fourfold truth. Everybody knows it. And what were they? There is suffering. The cause of suffering is desire. Right?
Yes.
Suffering can be reduced. And there's a path to reduce suffering. All right? Out of this fourth point comes up what we call an eightfold path.
सर ये आप हिंदी में भी बता दें तो अच्छा
अच्छा, हिंदी
रहेगा.
में बता दें. पूरी कहानी
नहीं, बस इतना.
अच्छा.
4
अच्छा, तो बुद्धा को जो भी
noble
एहसास
truths.
हुआ, दुख जो दुख है, सुख दुख है, अस्तित्व का दुख है. अब बुद्धा कैसे बताते? तो उन्होंने कहा 4 चीजें बेसिक प्रिंसिपल. दुख है, दुख की वजह है, वजह कम की जा सकती है, और उस वजह को कम करने का मार्ग है. मार्ग क्या है? मार्ग के लिए उन्होंने 8 चीजें बता दी, जिसको राइट कहते हैं. राइट मतलब राइट रॉन्ग मॉरल वाला नहीं. इतने बड़े लोग मॉरल साइंस नहीं कर रहे होते हैं ऊपर बैठे. हाँ, सीरियसली. ये अभी मैं आपको बताता हूँ क्यों नहीं मॉरल साइंस कर रहे होते हैं. इसलिए नहीं कर रहे होते हैं. आप चाहे कृष्ण को देख लीजिए, चाहे गांधी को देख लीजिए, चाहे बुद्ध को देख लीजिए, ऐसे बहुत सारे लोगों को देख लीजिए. वो अपनी इस लीप से अपने इंटेलेक्ट के बाहर निकल गए थे. इंटेलेक्ट के बियॉन्ड होता है इंट्यूशन. इंट्यूशन के बियॉन्ड होता है संभाव. कॉन्ट्राडिक्शंस को एक आंख से देखने की कैपेबिलिटी. जब आप कॉन्ट्राडिक्शंस को एक आंख से देखेंगे तो गुड इविल राइट रॉन्ग सब इज गॉन. दैट वाज द ग्रेट फोर्थ लीप. दैट वाज अ फोर्थ लीप. इस फोर्थ लीप में बहुत लोग पहुंच गए. हम आप भी जाते होंगे, सस्टेन नहीं कर पाते वहां पे. तो जो ये राइट बुद्धा कह रहे थे वो सम्यक था. सम्यक मतलब बैलेंस्ड, हार्मोनाइज्ड. राइट रॉन्ग इविल गुड नहीं. So what did he say? And this was a masterpiece. And why? When I will tell you neuroscience after this, then you will know why it is a masterpiece. He talked about right understanding, right concentration, right action, right intention, right speech, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness. है ना पढ़ना? यही है ना?
Yes, exactly.
इसके आगे मैं कुछ नहीं जोड़ूंगा. इसको
और
रोक दो
उनमें
यहीं पे.
से एक भी अगर पकड़ लें तो आप बाकी के सारे अपने आप आके इसमें पड़
ना,
जाएं.
यही तो भ्रम है. ये बहुत बड़ा भ्रम है.
I don't know.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm saying this. ऐसा कहा जाता है, ऐसा कहा जाता है अगर आप एक पकड़ दें तो सब हो जाएगा।
मुझे
और
नहीं
वो
पता, लेकिन मेरे पापा हमेशा ऐसे कहते थे,
कोई बात नहीं,
हर
वो सही कह रहे
रास्ता
हैं।
खुदा के रास्ते की तरफ जाता है, तो अगर आप कोई एक मार्ग भी
होल्ड ऑन,
पकड़ लें।
लेट अस नॉट कंफ्यूज, लेट अस नॉट कंफ्यूज। बुद्ध से भगवान के बारे में जब पूछा जाता था, बुद्ध कहते थे ये प्रश्न का उत्तर मैं नहीं दूंगा।
देयर इज नो गॉड, ही
आत
सेड।
नो नो, he never said this, he never said
ओके।
this, he never said there is no atma, he said these questions are not relevant to what I'm doing.
हम्म।
he was saying कि मेरा काम माइंड और उसकी सफरिंग बस ठीक करना है,
ही
भगवान
वाज
है कि
फोकस्ड।
नहीं। हाँ, तो जो एक मार्ग की जो बात है, कृष्ण भी यही कह रहे हैं। लेकिन कृष्ण, शंकराचार्य, हिंदू थॉट थोड़ा सा बुद्धिज्म से डिफर करता है कि वो रखता है परमात्मा पे, ईश्वर पे, वो भी ठीक है, वो एक मार्ग है, वो भक्ति का मार्ग है। लेकिन कृष्ण तो ज्ञान और कर्म का भी मार्ग बता गए। तो कृष्ण तो बता गए बिल्कुल फाइन विश्लेषण, एनालिटिकल माइंड भी। और इंडियन फिलोसफी में तो बहुत सारे स्कूल्स में गॉड का नाम ही नहीं है। यू अंडरस्टैंड फर्क क्या है?
हम्म।
बुद्ध जब 8 चीजों की बात करते हैं तो एक क्यों है मैं बता देता हूं। आई विल टेल यू व्हाई। बिकॉज बुद्धिज्म आज की जो न्यूरो साइंस है उसके सबसे नजदीक बैठता है। उसकी वजह है, आई विल कम टू दैट लेटर। नाउ दीज आर 2 पॉइंट्स। थर्ड इज, बुद्ध 2 शब्द बड़े इस्तेमाल कर गए, कर नहीं गए, वो बड़े कमाल के शब्द हैं। एक ज्ञान और एक करुणा, knowledge and compassion, both without each other are dangerous. If I have compassion and I do not have knowledge, I will be very, very proud. If I have knowledge and I do not have compassion, I'll be a dictator. And what is the knowledge? The knowledge is that all human beings are equal, there are no divisions between us. By this, Buddha was breaking the categories. जो कैटेगरीज होती हैं दिमाग में, ये मेरा, ये तेरा, मैं अच्छा, ये बुरा, समय को सेकंड्स में बांट रखा है, स्पेस को दीवारों से बांट रखा है, गलत सही अच्छा बुरा, ये सब जो डिविजन्स है ना, ये दिमाग में कैटेगरी पैदा करते हैं। कैटेगरी इसलिए पैदा की जाती है क्योंकि उससे आपका जो सेल्फ और ईगो है उसको बल मिलता है। जब आपको बल मिलता है तो आप सोचते हैं हम सबसे अलग। आप सबसे अलग इसलिए होना चाहते हैं कि आपको थोड़ी इनसिक्योरिटी आपकी गायब हो जाती है। यू अंडरस्टैंड? नॉलेज ये चाहिए कि सब वैलिड है, जो आपके अंदर है वही दूसरे के अंदर। ह्यूमन माइंड में मिरर न्यूरॉन्स होते हैं जिससे हम आप एक दूसरे की बात समझ सकते हैं, उससे एम्पैथी डेवलप होती है। बुद्ध बिना मिरर न्यूरॉन जाने एम्पैथी जानते थे, इसलिए उन्होंने कहा अगर सिर्फ कंपैशन होगा तो अहंकार से भर जाओगे, अगर सिर्फ नॉलेज होगी तो दूसरों पे शासन करोगे। ठीक है? ऑल दिस वाज गियर्ड टू रिड्यूस योर ईगो। एंड देन ही कम्स टू से द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग। तो ये आत्मा परमात्मा की बातें होती है ना, जो बुद्ध ने सारी कहानी को एक शब्द में समेट दिया था। 3 इंपॉर्टेंट शब्द, सब्बम अनित्यम, सब्बम अनिश्चम, सब्बम दुखम। ओके? Somebody is asking me a question. Aparna, please note down. I'll answer it later. Sabbam
ओके।
Anittam मतलब everything is unborn, unformed. कोई substantial कुछ नहीं है इस दुनिया में, जो अब आप माया कह रही थी। ठीक? माया आदमी के लिए है कि ऊपर वाले की तरफ से, पता नहीं, लेकिन चलो कुछ निश्चित नहीं है। Sabbam Anishtam, everything is in a flux. Everything comes and goes. Sabbam Dukkham, getting caught to look at the permanence of life. ये परमानेंट है, that is dukkha. And where does this need for permanence comes from a desire. This desire itself, अब आप शायद वो रिलेट कर सकती हैं। मैं थोड़ी न्यूरो साइंस बताता हूं आपको। ब्रेन बचपन से, when you are born, न्यूरॉन्स हैं 10 to the power 11. Everything which goes into your head, it forms a network. उस नेटवर्क से सारे एक्सपीरियंस से आपका सेल्फ बनना शुरू होता है। बाय द टाइम यू आर 18-20 थोड़ा आपका सेल्फ बन चुका होता है। कि पूरी जिंदगी हम उस सेल्फ को फीड करते रहते हैं कि ये मेरा, ये मेरी पावर, ये मेरा तेरा, दुनिया भर का राग जितना है। ब्रेन कैसे काम करता है? ब्रेन इस मोमेंट में भी क्या करता है कि इट टेक्स द मटेरियल फ्रॉम इट्स सेंसेस, राइट। उस सेंस से एक परसेप्शन बनाता है ब्रेन के अंदर, उसमें आपकी इमोशन और मेमोरी लगते हैं, उससे आपके मन में एक फ्रेम ऑफ रियलिटी पैदा होता है जिसपे आप एक्ट करते हैं। निशान जी, मैं आपके मोक्षा के प्रश्न पे अभी आता हूँ, रुक जाइए, अभी बताता हूँ मैं आपको। ये आपने जो लिखा है, बिल्कुल निशान ने बड़ा अच्छी चीज लिखी है, अभी पढ़ के सुना दूंगा बाद में। सो व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, द ब्रेन क्रिएट्स अ फ्रेम ऑफ रियलिटी व्हिच इटसेल्फ इज अ इल्यूजन। आप एक फ्रेम ऑफ रियलिटी है, दूसरे को कॉन्शियस ब्रेन से स्टोरी बनाते चले जा रहे हैं। He had hit it without knowing neuroscience. He knew that desire will ultimately lead to action. Action will lead to power. Power will lead to swelling up of your ego, and so on so forth. This cycle will go on. जिसको फ्रॉइड इरोस कहते थे, life instinct. The desire to live is also a desire, and that is where his nirvana comes in. And that is why, अपर्णा, अब तुम समझी, एक चीज से नहीं होता। जब आप राइट डिजायर करेंगे तो आप राइट इंटेंशन रखेंगे तो आप राइट एक्शन करेंगे तो राइट लाइवलीहुड नहीं होगा। तो हम लोग कहते हैं नहीं, राइट लाइवलीहुड हो कैसे हो सब सकता है अगर आप उसको कनेक्टेड रूप में देखेंगे। आप माइंडफुलनेस करती हैं, मेडिटेशन का बहुत बड़ा कंटेम्पलेटिव प्रैक्टिसेस में, अनलेस यू नो द कॉज यू रियली कांट डू अ विपश्यना। यू हैव टू डू अ विपश्यना, देन मे बी यू हैव टू गो ऑन टू achieve whatever else is there, right? That is why all the 8 are important. जैसे योगा में सिर्फ जो वो तीसरा लिंग, आजकल आसन करते हैं ना लोग, बहुत सारे लोग टेढ़ा मेढ़ा जो गांठे लगा लेते हैं,
या hatha yoga.
हैं?
Hatha yoga.
पतंजलि के तो 8 लिम्स थे। How many people practice that? Because it works from here. So Buddha had taken his mind to that subtle division in the mind of time where things really, sensations take a form. And that is why when you talk of consciousness in Buddhism, they talk of form, which is called Roop. They talk of perception, which is called the representation of the world. They talk of Chit, Buddhi, which understands, and the formations of it. You have to really pierce through all this. So to pierce this, he went a step ahead. अब इस एक शब्द में बड़ा कंफ्यूजन है। बुद्धा ने कहा नो सेल्फ। अब ये नो सेल्फ जैन बुद्धिस्ट अलग तरीके से इंटरप्रेट करते हैं। बुद्धा का नो सेल्फ जो था, अब ये बुद्धिज्म के अंदर स्कूल्स में भी हो गई गड़बड़। एक स्कूल नो सेल्फ को बिल्कुल सीरियसली लेता है कि सब कुछ शून्य है। This comes from a misinterpretation of Nagarjuna. But Nagarjuna was talking of deeper intellect thing. He was not talking of meditation. He was talking of philosophy. When he said शून्य, he was not saying कि सब दुनिया शून्य है. He was showing तुम्हारा भी सेल्फ शून्य है। ये सेल्फ और नो सेल्फ की कहानी जो है, महायान बुद्धिज्म ने इसको रिजॉल्व कर लिया। सारा सेल्फ का एग्जिस्टेंस इज पार्ट ऑफ हिंदू फिलोसफी। This self is one which becomes Tattvamasi. Buddhism एक कदम आगे जाके कहता है this and that is one and it is nothing. You understand? There is a self. It is not shown, but it's still shown. You don't have to cling to it. Clinging is very important. So he said to be no self, you have to meditate. Meditate on what? On your desires, of the cause and effect, of clinging to things, of feeding the self, and then you reach a state where there is a no self. Only then you can empathize, only then you can have compassion, only then you have real knowledge, right? Meditation obviously was one of the ways, but there are a lot of people who can work without meditation, isn't it? Very precise. Animals don't meditate, लेकिन जब चीता शिकार करता है तो बिल्कुल फोकस तरीके से करता है। हम कुछ फोकस तरीके से करते हैं तो उसमें पहले मॉरल, गलत, सही, अच्छा, बुरा, ये सब डाल देते हैं। सब डाइल्यूट हो जाता है. Computers can focus and work, they don't have emotions, isn't it? So what I'm trying to tell you, how does that come? That is right concentration. But right concentration doesn't come without right mindfulness. That doesn't come without right livelihood. So what I'm saying is that you can, what you said, let me rephrase it now. Let us focus on one. Walk on all the paths. Because once you are out to explore this, you have to break a lot of barricades. You can't go into just one thing. When this boundary of self is broken, when you are feeling with that consciousness which pervades from here till the electron or to every human and living being, then that no self appears. All right. This probably was Maya in Advait. When you realize that Maya, yourself is actually, but presence of self is a positive thing. When you say no self, it appears as a negative thing. But don't take positive and negative and good and bad. Just put them together. They are all complementary to each other. There is a self. The components of the self are empty.
सर मैं
Now
आपको
this
यहाँ
was
पे
very
थोड़ा
important.
सा रोकना चाहूंगी और दो
बिल्कुल रोक
जो
दीजिए
हमारे
मुझे.
पास सवाल आए हैं उनका जवाब अगर आप दे सकें. सो निशांत
अगर
श्रीवास्तव का सवाल
अगर
है.
होगा तो दे दूंगा.
Okay, we can try. Why is
Yes.
moksha needed? Why there is madness about it? I love being alive in this body and I enjoy worldly pleasures.
Moksha is not needed at all. And I tell you, ये हमारे इंडियन फिलोसफी में बहुत अच्छा डिवीजन किया गया था लाइफ का. वो डिवीजन क्या था? आपके 4 गोल्स हैं, धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष. And when you talk of dharma, and when Buddha also talks of dharma, when Krishna also talks of dharma, they are not talking about religion, mind you. They are talking about the social structure of duty of your inner self, which is your dharma. Krishna told Arjuna, if you die in your own dharma, that is better than living in somebody else's dharma. So what is your dharma? You do it. Arth, which is the material prosperity. You have to take care of everybody. Kam, sexuality. Procreation, because that is अभी से procreation बंद हो जाएगा तो क्या मोक्षा का करोगे भाई?
अगर सब बुद्धिस्ट मंक बन गए तो फिर ये वर्ल्ड कैसे चलेगा?
वो बन नहीं सकते. तो जीन्स बनने नहीं देंगी. उल्टा खड़े हो जाओ, कुछ नहीं होने वाला. मोक्षा सबसे बाद में आता था कि जब सारे काम कर लो भाई, अगर तमन्ना हो तो जाके शांति से बैठ जाओ. बुद्ध जिसको निर्वाण कह रहे थे, ये भी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. लोग सोचते हैं कि उसका मतलब ये है कि जन्म मृत्यु की साइकिल से, मतलब बुद्ध तो रीबर्थ कर ही नहीं रहते वो कुछ. वो बात जो कह रहे थे कि निर्वाण मतलब ये है कि जो डेथ और लाइफ के कॉन्ट्रडिक्शंस में फंसे हो, इससे ऊपर उठ जाओ. दैट इज निर्वाण. तो मोक्षा वाज दिस स्टेट वेयर यू आर प्लेजेंट, यू आर एबल टू सी लाइफ विद सम भाव एंड हैव. सो निशान, कोई बदमाश बीच में आ गया था. बहुत सारे बदमाश आते हैं ना फिलोसफी में. उसने ऐसे पकड़ के घुमा दिया उसको उल्टा. उसने कहा मोक्षा सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. अब सारा हिंदुस्तान बाकी काम छोड़ के मोक्षा के पीछे पड़ गया. लेकिन वो ये जानते नहीं कि जब तक बाकी 3 निपटाओगे नहीं, मोक्षा मिलने वाला नहीं है. तो तुम आराम से लाइफ एंजॉय करो. यही बॉडी अच्छी है, यही सही है, लेकिन कंपैशन रखो. और गांधी जी से एक शब्द कहा गया था, गांधी जी के लिए कहा था, एक्चुअलिटी एंड म्यूचुअलिटी. एक्चुअलिटी मतलब अपना सेल्फ पोटेंशियल पे पहुंचो. राइट, दैट इज महाज्ञान. गांधी जी के लिए दूसरा शब्द कहा गया था एक्चुअलिटी. अपने साथ म्यूचुअलिटी, अपने साथ सारी दुनिया लेके उठो. दैट इज कंपैशन. Gandhi demonstrated Buddha in his life.
Yes, thank you, sir. I hope Nishant is happy with the answer. And the next question we have is from Shivendra Vikram Singh, who is saying, is no self a dropping of the ego consciousness?
Ultimately, if you talk about at the singular point the way physics talks it, it is definitely, it goes to a point where no self means no ego consciousness. But it's slightly more complicated, because Zen Buddhism में, when they talk of no self, it means something else. वो उल्टा शुरू करते हैं. वो कहते हैं गॉड भी अगर नो सेल्फ है तो पहले तो सेल्फ होना पड़ेगा ना, फिर नो सेल्फ के लिए.
So is it, sir, not like duality and then non-duality?
Absolutely. So again, Buddha never said that you do not have a self. When did he say that? अगर वो सेल्फ को रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं करते हैं पढ़ना, तो वो कैसे बताते हैं कि व्हाट इज रूप, व्हाट इज वेदना, व्हाट इज भावना, व्हाट कैसे बताते हैं? वो तो माइंड ही देख रहा है ना. दैट मीन्स ही न्यू इट कि ऑल दिस परसेप्शंस, रिप्रेजेंटेशंस, फीलिंग्स, इमोशंस, ऑल दिस थिंग्स आर एक्चुअली अ पार्ट ऑफ योर माइंड that goes on to make the self. So when it goes on to make the self, from there you have to make a journey to non-self, to break the barriers in the mind and see the continuity of life. ये निशांत क्या कह रहा है? Had there been moksha and nirvana, if we immortality के चक्कर में मत पड़ो,
जियो अच्छे
इसी
से.
चक्कर में बहुत लोग अभी तुम यू डोंट कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट योरसेल्फ. अभी तुमने कहा यू आर एंजॉयिंग योर लाइफ, व्हाई आर यू टॉकिंग अबाउट इमॉर्टैलिटी? लिव दिस लाइफ. यू डोंट वरी, नेचर विल टेक केयर ऑफ मॉर्टैलिटी. अभी कोरोना भेजा है ना उसने, कुछ और भी भेज सकता है. So
sir, can you highlight some of the work that you have done in the area of neuroscience that helps people?
मेरे बारे में बात मत करो यार. अच्छा चलो बता देता हूँ. No, I have been trying to delve with this whole understanding of reality, actually, how the mind perceives. I said initially, Buddha's thought are nearest to what neuroscience understands. All right. He was not talking in terms of unconscious and conscious. We later Freud talked, but he knew that the world, outside world, and your mind is having a representation of that. And when he said everything is in a flux, he knew that representations are coming and going, which we know by neuroscience now. Everything which enters into my mind in this instance is represented in a sort of frame of reality in 500 milliseconds. Next 500 milliseconds will have another representation. And I may be seeing the reality in my representation, not as it is. And that is what differs in people. He was exhorting us to get beyond this and see that it is all. So he talked about suffering. He talked about ethics in his eightfold things. He talked about the basic core of everything, that desire to cling to this representation. समझ गए? इच्छा, ये मन के बनते हुए चित्रों में से उलझ जाने का नाम ही इच्छा है. और वो इच्छा ही सफरिंग पैदा करती है, क्योंकि वो आपसे ऐसे एक्ट कराएगी जो एक्सटर्नल वर्ल्ड में होंगे, उससे रिएक्शन आएगा, उसमें आपको ईगो प्रॉब्लम होगी या ईगो अच्छा लगेगा, आप फिर करेंगे और आप एक ऐसे चक्र में फंस जाएंगे जिसकी मिलियन ट्रिलियंस लेयर्स हैं. फिर जब आप सडनली 55 साल में कहेंगे कि आओ इसमें डीप डाउन जाके बेसिक देखे, तब तक आप इतनी लेयर्स क्रॉस ही नहीं कर सकते. इसीलिए अगर अब आप गौर करें, जो मैंने शुरू में कहा था स्क्रिप्चर्स की बात, मेजॉरिटी स्क्रिप्चर्स के शब्दों में फंस जाती है, क्योंकि स्क्रिप्चर्स मिडिल लेवल की चीज है. जब आदमी कूदता है ना ढूंढने के लिए, तो वहां स्क्रिप्चर्स की दीवार खड़ी इतनी मोटी, वो सोच के लोग कुछ शब्द पकड़ देते हैं और ये डिस्कस कर लें, नो सेल्फ, निब्बान, दिस दैट व्हाटएवर, एंड अगेन नीचे की कहानी छूट जाती है. Buddha's mode was very simple. You cannot know Buddha unless you go through the experience.
And
right?
he never propagated to follow his teachings either.
No, there is no teaching. Where is the teaching?
Yeah.
ये तो हम लोग खाली बैठे
go
लोग
and
हैं.
experiment yourself.
अरे हम लोग के पास फेसबुक है, हम लोग बातें कर रहे हैं, आप सोच रहे मुझे आता है, मैं सोचता हूँ आपको आता है. अगर बुद्धा होते तो यार ये कहानी कर रहे होते. वो कुछ था ही नहीं, टीचिंग थी नहीं. There was no teaching. मैंने बताया ना आपको, लोटस लेके ही स्माइल्ड. You know what was that? The indication was that it is a blossoming consciousness. You understand?
Yes.
He was not ready to teach anything. ये तो लोग पीछे पड़ गए.
Yes. सर एक और क्वेश्चन शिवेंद्र का ही है. He asked a question about.
शिवेंद्र, हम लोग फिलोसॉफिकल डिस्कशन बाद में कर लेंगे.
He's
मैं अपना नंबर और ईमेल बता देता हूँ.
But his question is about what you said, so he wants to clarify what is the flux and continuity.
Yeah. Buddha did not know the neuroscience. By intuitive intellect, he knew that everything is in a flux, nothing is permanent. Neuroscience knows nothing is permanent. Even the representation of reality is not permanent. He was talking about, so we know that when we were 16, we were thinking something else. 10 minutes back, I was thinking, so it's all in a flux. Our self, which is represented in the brain, somehow clings to all that. Right?
Yes.
And concepts की definition में, जैसे love, जैसे hatred, ये concepts है ना, पता है किसी को, देखा किसी ने, लेकिन आपको पता लग गया हेट्रेड है. अब आप हेट्रेड, बुद्ध कह रहा था छोड़ो ना हेट्रेड यार, आप जो करना है करो भाई. सो व्हाट एम, एंड ही आल्सो सेड, एक सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात है, व्हेन आई लाइक, यू कैन टेल मी अबाउट मोर अबाउट दिस, दैट पीपल थिंक दे सिट क्लोज आईज फॉर 1 hour एवरी डे, हो गया, वो कुछ नहीं होता उससे, फॉरगेट इट. आई एम गोइंग टू ब्रेक दिस मिथ. भाई सवाल ये है कि आपने पूरा डिजायर से लेके कॉज इफेक्ट तो एनालाइज किया नहीं है. विपश्यना करवाती है, जैसे विपश्यना वाज द ओरिजिनल मेडिटेशन व्हिच केम आउट ऑफ बुद्धा. व्हेन डिड महात्मा गांधी डू विपश्यना? नो, ही न्यू व्हाट वाज द ट्रिक. सो सेम इंट्यूटिव इंटेलेक्ट वर्क देयर. सवाल ये कि अगर आप कॉज इफेक्ट और ये पूरी वेव अंदर से बाहर तक आते नहीं देखेंगे तो आप वो चेन ब्रेक नहीं कर पाएंगे थॉट्स की. ओके, अलका मेरा फोन नंबर भी दे दो यार, बाद में कठिन सवालों के जवाब दे दूंगा मैं लोगों को, अगर होंगे मेरे पास तो.
और सर का चैनल भी है एक्चुअली, यूट्यूब चैनल.
नहीं, कोई चैनल नहीं है, मेरे वीडियो पड़े हुए हैं इस पे. तो एनीवे, शिवेंद्र, यू गॉट इट. सो look at from the neuroscience angle, and let me tell you something more. If you talk about quantum physics, anyway, this is not the forum for that. Nagarjuna's thought about Shunya and quantum physics, they map, and they have wonderful videos of His Holiness Dalai Lama ji discussing with quantum physicists. सब YouTube पे मिल जाएंगे आपको. अब इतने साल बाद, इतने 2500 साल बाद मैप कर रही चीजें. मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ ये अल्टीमेट है, अगर कोई कोशिश करे तो मैप. तो आप जो डिफरेंशिएशन ये देख रहे हैं कि उपनिषद कुछ कह रहे थे, कृष्ण कुछ कह रहे थे, ऐसा नहीं है. सब एक ही बात कर रहे थे. जिस मार्ग की बात उपनिषद करता है सेल्फ को पकड़ के, वो गोइंग बियॉन्ड द सेल्फ टू परमात्मा करता है. बुद्ध गोइंग बियॉन्ड द सेल्फ टू अदर ह्यूमन बीइंग्स करता है. कृष्ण गोइंग बियॉन्ड द सेल्फ टू कर्म करते हैं. बुद्ध का कर्म और कृष्ण का कर्म में फर्क है. कृष्ण के कर्म इज अ प्रोएक्टिव कर्म, तुम्हें युद्ध करना है करो युद्ध. लाओ त्से एक बहुत बड़ा फिलोसफर था, वो तो अकर्म में था, बिल्कुल अकर्म नहीं था वो. कर्म की कहानी छोड़ो, मैं बैठा हूं, कर्म हो जाएगा. तो ऑल दिस वाज सेम. सो कैच अ सेल्फ, गो बियॉन्ड नो सेल्फ टू कैच अ परमात्मा, टू कर्म, टू बुद्धा's empathy. Where is the problem? अभी मैं ऐसी बात करूंगा सारी यूनिवर्सिटी डिपार्टमेंट बंद हो जाएंगे, वो फतवा जारी कर देंगे कि देखो हमारा सारा. लेकिन आप बिल्कुल बेसिक तल पे अगर आ जाइए तो आपको ये कहानी बड़ा सिंपल है, तो इतना बड़ा गेम है नहीं. और मतलब इसके बियॉन्ड भी अगर आप देखना चाहें तो आप कैसे ट्रीट कर रहे थे, हाउ वाज कृष्णा ट्रीटिंग सिचुएशंस. ही हैड अ सिंपल फिलॉसफी. आएगा, आपको अपना बेस्ट देना है उसको. यही तो कर रहे थे. गांधी क्या कह रहे थे? मैं ऐसे रहूंगा, तुम मुझे गोली मार दो, गाली दे दो, मैं हिंसा करूंगा. अब रिलेट कर लो मुझसे. बुद्ध क्या कह रहे थे? जो भी होगा मैं उससे एक कदम पीछे चला जाऊंगा. एक आदमी गाली दे रहा था बुद्ध को, ये कहानी सबने सुनी होगी. वो जब गाली दे रहा था तो बुद्ध सुनते रहे बैठे, आसपास के चेले सब नाराज हो रहे थे. तो बुद्ध ने अंत में उससे कहा, ये बताओ, तो चला गया. तो उस लोगों ने कहा, क्या है आपको कुछ कहना था? उन्होंने कहा, भाई मैंने तो गाली ली नहीं इसकी. तो कहाँ गई? तो सब वापस चली गई. जब मैं ले ही नहीं रहा हूँ कुछ, तो जब मैं ले नहीं रहा हूँ तो मैं रिप्रेजेंटेशन भी नहीं बना रहा हूँ उसका. जब मैं रिप्रेजेंटेशन नहीं बना रहा हूँ, मैं कुछ कर ही नहीं रहा हूँ. दिस वाज हिज स्ट्रेटजी.
So now
So you
we are
don't hate.
coming, yeah, we're
Yes,
coming
yes.
towards
So
conclusion.
I will stop. I'll hand it over to you because Aparna ji practices mindfulness, and I whatever 5-10 minutes are there, if at all I have overspoken, just tell them briefly about mindfulness.
Thank you, sir. I don't think I have much to speak after what you have said. ऐसे होगा जैसे सूरज को चिराग दिखाना. So
नहीं, चिराग जलो, तुम चलो. सूरज बुझ जाएगा, चिराग जलते रहेंगे. बोलो.
ओके, सो मेरे पास ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है कहने के लिए, लेकिन माइंडफुलनेस is really very simple, and it came out of Buddhist practices. Although
Yes.
in modern teachings they don't necessarily acknowledge the root of it.
Yes.
And only thing I want to say is about Dr. John Kabat-Zinn and his work that began like a revolution in 1979, when he went and learned these practices from Buddhist monk, and he went back to the University of Massachusetts, and he wanted to help his patients. And the only way he could find is really, he was given a place in the basement, and he found some psychiatric patients, and he just taught them some mindful body movements, and he taught them how to meditate, and the results were so amazing that now
Yes.
MBSR clinics, mindfulness based stress reduction clinics, they are famous
Yes.
all around the world. Even in UK's healthcare system, in NHS, they have it included since 2004. So this practice is very much applicable in today's human suffering, and it can reduce human suffering by simply concentrating on breath. So maybe to end this session or to come towards the conclusion, I would like you to just experience this peace within you, even for 1 minute. Even we say that even if you can do it for one breath, it can bring that sense of calmness, because it's not a rocket science, it's a neuroscience, as we say. So
Just give me a second.
Yes.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the title of this book?
Bauddha Dhyan Paddhati. Yes.
इसकी इंग्लिश भी है, बुद्धिस्ट मेडिटेशन. जिसको भी मेडिटेशन शुरू करना हो, and even if you have the slightest of desire to do all this, sometimes go through this, and you can hear to His Holiness Dalai Lama, to Revered Samdang Rinpoche, and there are a lot of things. And you have my number and phone, so you can trouble me anytime. As I said, I'm not a scholar and I'm not a practitioner either, but maybe I can throw something else at your head. You know how Zen Buddhists teach? You have any idea? Zen Buddhism doesn't go through all this. They teach you by shaking your brain through koans. Koans are absolutely puzzling couplets and all, or questions, which this is okay. You clap with one hand. Go and clap with one hand. Rake your brain over this. And so their sense of enlightenment is what is called satori. Sudden enlightenment like this. But it is never sudden actually. There is a hell lot of preparation which is going on. Okay. So there are hazard ways to go through. And if you don't have anything, you can also do what Gandhi did, charkha. Chappal silo. Khana banao. Jo bhi karna hai. It is about the right concentration and right intention. You don't have a right intention, everything else goes pat. So you know the 8th thing, na? Crisscross. All right. Let me shut up now.
Thank you so much. So now we are coming to the end of this session, and I would like to acknowledge the presence of people who have been with us and have been continuously sending their messages of love and support. So first of all, Radha Shakya ji, I really still remember you from the day in 2017 when I was holding my mindfulness session in National Sugar Institute. You were present, and I remember you handing over to me a book that was of your kavitas, and I still have that book. Thank you so much, Radha Shakya ji. आप हमारा साथ देती रही, उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हृदय से. Niranjana Shukla ji and Priyanka Das, Sudhir Tiwari, Priyanka Das, Anima, thank you. You are joining from Qatar. Thank you so much. Kulraj Bedi ji from Mumbai, and Shehjan Shad, Dr. Dhirendra Srivastava, and Sri Gopal Tulsian ji from Kanpur. बहुत बहुत नमस्कार आपको sir. Gaurav Pandey also from Kanpur, and Rakesh Shukla ji, and Syed Hasnan ji, and Suresh Chahani, Sushma Singh, Hina Rizvi, Savita Rani, and please forgive me if I don't take somebody's name, Akanksha Mishra, Deepti Gulati, Shashi Shukla, Akanksha, and Nishant Srivastav. Thanks for asking the question.
Aparna,
Yes.
Deepti ji is here. Deepti Gulati ji is part of a trust called Ayurgyan, and because this is a group which is working with cognitive psychology, teaching, and all of it, devising ways to bring Dalai Lama ji's message to kids on resilience, compassion, and all that. It's obviously a continuity of Buddhism and all. So just for information.
Thank you. And
so anybody, any
Shivendra-
school which wants their workshop, contact. Yeah.
Yes, and Pratiksha Tiwari ji, and I'm coming to the end. Rama Pandey, thank you so much. Rashmi Dubey also is here. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. This is a
Thank
topic
you.
which
Shall I
cannot
log off
be.
now?
Yes, sir. Namaste so much. Namaste and thank you. In the end, we would say, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Thank you.
अच्छा रुको, एक मिनट रुक जाओ. ये बुद्धा आज की तारीख में होते ना, तो जानते हो क्या कहते हैं?
वो कुछ नहीं कहते, वो चुप रहते, वो मौन रहते.
ऐसी बात है, मौन रहते और चले जाते उठ के. अपनी शरण में जाओ. ठीक है, चलो. ओके, बाय, टेक केयर.